Well, good morning and welcome back. It is now September the 27th. Beautiful sunny morning out here, although a bit windy. I think it's supposed to only get to 80 or 90k today though. But about 16 degrees overnight. We certainly haven't had any frost in a little while, and that's given us a good opportunity to clean up fields like this. So this dryland corner of wheat field here, and you can see we got a pile of volunteer canola, which isn't much of a problem. Frost will kill that, but we do have quite a bit of roundleaf mallow as well as alfalfa. This field is supposed to go into potatoes for next year, so we really want to get this alfalfa cleaned up. And because we haven't had frost and it's still nice and green and actively growing, it's going to be a really good time this week to get this under control. Well, here's that area of crusted soil in the winter wheat field that I showed last week, and you can see we've had pretty poor emergence here. There's some starting to come through the cracks here and there, but for the most part, this is pretty hard. It's going to be difficult to get through. And if you look off to the sides, you can see we got pretty good emergence over here, and even up right in here. You can start to see the rows forming there, but man, wherever this was hard and over irrigated, she ain't coming up. Here's some more winter wheat going in the ground. This is on dry land. Soil conditions are getting pretty dry and dusty in the upper 2 inches here now. There's very little moisture even underneath that, so we're going to need some rain here pretty quick. This winter wheat is going in at about 1.5 inches deep, which is a little bit deep for winter wheat, but you can see down at that depth there is a little bit of moisture, but not very much, so hopefully it's enough to get her going. In this spot here, you can see this winter wheat is at a pretty good planting depth for winter wheat. We're at about 3/4 of an inch, which is about normal seeding depth for that, but you can see we're pretty dry at that depth. There's not a lot of moisture here, so I hope we get some showers here soon. Well, here's our annual salt migration in process out of the salt sloughs here north of Nobleford. So every time it gets really dry and windy like this, she blows out across the countryside. And then when we get lots of rain and ground moisture next year, it'll all seep back downhill back into the slough. Here by Colehurst, these oats are getting swathed, getting ready to get silage. You can see they're, just about 4 feet tall in here. They're looking really good, nice and thick, heavy crop, should weigh up pretty well. Well, if you got fall seeded crops and you see a patch of seagulls out in your field like we do right here, then you might want to go and take a quick look, because it can quite often mean a wireworm or a cutworm problem. I didn't see much for cutworms, but it was freshly irrigated, so there's lots of worms. We're pretty much right on the surface here, so that's pretty much what the seagulls were after today. Oh, the fun stuff I find in fields. Nice little hitch. Well, there's late seeded corn by Lethbridge, still showing the frost damage that showed up last week, but you can see we do still have, new leaves now. So we've had 2 new leaves come out of this one since that frost, so it's still doing okay. And I don't think there's any frost in the forecast, so we don't need to be in any big hurry to take this off. But basically it and the barley that is in the field can be, silaged almost any time, really. Well, the Pioneer hybrid corn here by Lethbridge is coming along pretty nice. Starting to see a little bit of dry down and maturity in here now. We're not a black layer yet, but we're getting pretty close. I would say this field on average is sitting at, 50-60% milk line. So we're going to try silage in there tomorrow. Oh, I'm checking out some of the winter wheat down by McGrath today, and it's looking not too bad down here, but holy cow, is it ever dry. This winter wheat has been in the ground here for a couple weeks now. We're mostly 1-2 leaf, and she's pretty, she's struggling pretty good in this really dry soil, just like everywhere else. This really needs a rain if it's going to continue developing. Here in this lentil field, you can really see the difference that a quick light harrowing after harvest can make. You can see over here, not a whole lot of volunteer lentils, whereas over here it's just thick with lentils. And that's just from running the harrow over, so you get better seed to soil contact. Get your volunteer out of the way and up here this fall, so winter can take care of it. Well, here's a fun strip in a field. This field was supposed to all be winter wheat, but we ran out of seed over there somewhere. So this is going to be spring wheat, which is perfectly fine for focus fall applied. And you can see there's an unsprayed strip here. We basically ran out of products, so we left this strip in the field. So I got this flagged off. And we're going to be able to see the difference in weed germination and emergence in the spring. Well, here is where some liquid manure was knifed in along this hilltop out here, so that's great for next year. Trying to build up the soil on these hilltops, get them in a little bit better condition, a little bit more organic matter. And just for an idea how intensive an operation like this is, you can see where the hose is sitting here, and it runs way out down there to, it's about 1.25 miles is where the lagoon is, and probably 100-150 feet of elevation. So it takes some serious pumping power to get that all the way up here. Well, some of this 233P is regrowing so nicely that it is now setting pods and well into full bloom, and it's about 16 inches tall now. So I mean, the way that this is looking, if we don't get a killing frost next while, we could be potentially combining a second crop of canola by the end of October. Sugar beets are getting harvested by Picture Butte today. Finally, temperature has cooled down enough, even though we were about 11 degrees overnight. So good opportunity to come out and get some video of this morning, because this is something I normally don't get to see a lot of. So for those of you that aren't too familiar with sugar beets, this is basically what they look like in field. They pretty much just look like a big beet, except there's no reddish color or anything to them. They're quite white in color generally. So first stage of harvest is to basically mow the tops off. So there is a mower going around this field. He's basically just mowing all these tops off, keeps them out of the machine, keeps it nice and clean. And then the digger comes along, digs them up, and you're left with, usually there's always a few left in the field. So this was where the machine had stopped. So you can see a couple chunks here. So apparently it looks like yield is maybe up from average this year, but sugar content is a little bit lower. So it'll probably average out to be about the same. Here's the pile of sugar beets by Picture Butte, where these are all getting trucked to. So they're going to stay here and stockpile until they're ready to be shipped over to Rogers Sugar in Tabor. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.